The first place that we started Peace for World, okay? And that's what we're trying to do today. Now, this is my teleprompter, okay? I don't think I need it because my biggest problem, my grandkids tell me is that I can talk forever, and the problem is I gotta make sense. So I'm trying to make sense to you. The reason we picked, originally, Cashmere is because it's the center of, a profit center of the state. But the other thing, which we as tribal members feel, it's also in the middle of our Aboriginal land that we had here for thousands of years. That land ran from Lake Wenatchee all the way down this valley to East Wenatchee. And we had 4 tribes that were Saley speaking that would have meetings here every year and get together. They were all Saley speaking tribes. It was Wenatchee, the Indian, the Chelan, and what we call Moses Columbia. Now, what happened then is in the 1872, the federal government said we all had to move to the Colville reservation, which is up north. You might not even know where it is, but it's up north. And that's where we just came from. We came from Oman. And that's where most of our tribal members have lived since 1872. Some of them didn't want to leave, like my friend Matthew Dick. His grandpa was Chief Parnell. He stayed here until he passed away. And there was a few like that stayed here. But other than that, we all wound up in Colville Reservation. 12 tribes up there. And we were all now one unit. Now, what happened then is the settlers came in, your ancestors came in and settled all the land here. And we had an agreement with the Treaty of 1855 of the Yakimos, which was done down Walla Walla. We had an agreement to give us the fishing rights for salmon and also a 6 by 6 mile square reservation. And that we went to court later because we never got to fishing, and we went spent 20 years in court to finally get the fishing rights. And we now fish up at the Isaac River in Leavenworth. But we never did get the reservation. And the reservation, 6 mile by square, 6 mile square, you can't find a vacant place like that in this whole area for our reservation because it's all populated now. So, and they offered us places up in the hills, which was totally useless to us. And Chief Armelt was the main person here. He refused all of those. And so now we're still trying to get that reservation. And it'll have to be piecemeal. A little bit here, a little bit there. And our tribe, our Colville tribe now, the Confederated tribes, just a couple days ago, bought an 11 acre piece just a mile or 2 that way from Cashmere. So well, guess what? We're moving back. We don't know what we're going to do with that land. One thing that's been considered is establishing a longhouse, because we don't have any place to meet here that would be ours. We could meet with anybody else's place, because people like Casey and Nikki have been very helpful on our project here. We've had people in Leavenworth and Entiat that's really been helpful. And just to give you an example, the Wenatchee Museum in the city of Wenatchee is putting a display on right that park that's right next to the courthouse in Wenatchee. It's gonna be right in the middle of it, it's gonna be done by next spring, and it's gonna talk all about the Wenatchee tribe. Now, that's been our objective, because people forgot that we existed. Since we left here, nobody knew that we still were there's a lot of us still here. We have 9,200 tribal members up on the reservation, but they're from 12 tribes. They're not all the tribes. They're not all from Wenatchee. Okay, what we want to do is get more and more word out to understand that we're still alive and kicking. We've been around all the time since 1872, and that was we established an organization we called the Wenatchee Advisory Group, and it advises the tribal council now, which are separate, and we advise them on what can be done, and that's why they wound up buying that 11 acres. So the Wenatchee Advisory Group then has been working with all these people in Leavenworth here and Indiana and Wenatchee to get the word out that we exist. It's been just the last few years that really made success, because now the Leavenworth Museum has a lot of modern stuff that in there, and we have things right here, and Indiana has a tremendous setup too. So that's been successful. But what we haven't got across was when this Tree of Peace started, there was a chief called Jake Swamp. He was the chief of the Mohawks, and that's part of the 5 Iroquois tribes that he told us about the story where over 1,000 years ago, he just established, or his tribe, his ancestors established a Tree of Peace. And the Tree of Peace was meant then to stop the wars between their tribes. They were killing each other, and it was really bad. And the Tree of Peace worked then. So Jake Swamp said that was a great idea. So he put a Tree of Peace in Washington, D.C. during the centennial of 1988. And that centennial was supposed to help world peace. And so Matthew Dick Jr. and I, who were on the council at the time, of the 12 Confederated Tribe Council, thought that was a great idea. So we went and put a tree in Omak to help heal the differences between East Omak and West Omak, because the tribe lived on East Omak. And we had a lot of problems with the people living on the other side. And that did help. It did help. And then we put a tree here. Like I said, it's the middle of the state, more or less. And we worked with the Washington State Fish and Wildlife people to put this tree, this cedar tree that we'll see back here. That was to be a Tree of Peace, mainly aimed at between our tribe and Washington State Fisheries and Wildlife. We have a representative here that was 30-some years ago, so we don't have the same people that were there then. I don't know why I'm still here, but we have people here representing them. We have 2, right? So I'll give them a chance to say a few words later. Now, what I want to do now is explain the Tree of Peace, which is explained here, but there's a little background that needs to be brought up. And like I said, part of that was Jake Swamp doing it 1,000 years ago. But this planting at this area was great. You could see all this description here. It really was good, except for one thing. we didn't put anything there to describe what it all meant. So we lost the momentum of what the whole thing was supposed to do. And so it was decided then, and I was kind of the forefront of that, to come and do a rededication and put this up on the wall of the museum and explain what it's all about. Okay, that's one thing. But we want to make this thing really grow. And if you see that cedar tree, you see since 1988, it's grown big. It's wide, it's tall. We want peace to grow like that, okay? So we're doing things, hopefully, that'll accomplish that. And the way, one of the ways to do that is put peace on everybody's mind. I hope you all go away from now with peace on your mind. Not only with you, within yourself, but within everybody. And the way to do that is to have reminders of peace. And the tribal people, they have celebrations every year, like the Womack Stampede, and all that, and the Spelem celebration, and the Spokane celebration. That's where people come to meet their friends and relatives, and really, it does a healing operation for them. If they have any problems, they get it all resolved. And one of the things they do is they mount teepees. You've all seen the teepees. Well, that's a reminder. You look at a teepee, you can say, well, the letters TP means think peace. Think peace every time you see a teepee. Well, you can do that with a lot of things, just to remind you. That's one way we're going to do it, but there's another way, and that way is more the tribal way. We're going to do a smudge. Now, some of you don't know what a smudge is. A smudge is where well, I'll tell you how we prepare for a smudge. We take something like a cedar tree that's green, we dry the boughs so we can light a match or fire to it and make smoke. And then we take an eagle feather and we move the smoke to wherever we want. In this case, we want peace. Okay, you want you to think of peace. The smoke will go with you. Now, the reason we use an eagle feather, it's called, in our language, is broken. The reason we use the eagle feather is it's a communication between the Creator, how we intune in our language, and nature, which is us. You ask what nature is. Nature is everything from the galaxies on down to us, everything in between. Well, the sun is in between, and the sun actually provides heat and for energy for all of us. Okay, so it's tying all of nature together. But trees also tie nature together, and the reason trees do that is they're green, and green is the middle of our visual spectrum, right in the middle, so it tends to balance us, okay? And it's been proven that people go out, stay out in the green environment, like staying out in the woods for a while, that is calming, okay? So what we want to do then is give that to you, and so you take it with you, and it never leaves. Never leaves. And so after everyone else says whatever they want here, I'm going to start to smoke, and I'll go over there at the gate, and you come in to see the cedar tree and this picture being mounted, and I'll give you the smoke, which actually is giving you the peace that you'll take with you, okay? Now, since we say trees are the most important, on the reservation we call that tree huggers. were tree huggers. We had a lot of fights with, well, not fights, discussions with the people that were cutting our trees down. They'd get a little bit of disease in the tree, and they'd clear cut 20 or 40 acres, and it just looked horrible. So we would say, no, you can't do that. So they didn't do 20 or 30 acres. They did 4 acres right adjacent, all these adjacent, so it built up to 20 acres. So that we had really had fights over that. Well, they called us tree huggers because of that. So I hope I can make all of you tree huggers, and you can carry that with you, okay? The first person I want to invite to get up and talk.
So Wendell, I think I have to say 2 things. One, you started with, you had a teleprompter, and I never saw you look at it once. That was very impressive. And then we've heard the saying, save the best for last. I think you should have went last, because there's absolutely no way I can top that. That was beautiful. Thank you very much. So I'm Brock Haynes. I am with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. I'm director of our North Central region, which includes Adams, Grant, Chelan, Douglas, and Okanagan counties. Director Sue Swin had all intentions of being here today, but he had an unexpected family emergency arise yesterday afternoon that needed his attention, and so he couldn't make it. So just wanted to offer my sincerest apologies on behalf of him that he couldn't attend today. And then also with us today is Jeremy Cram, who is our salmon recovery lead? Is that the correct title? And so he lives here in Cashmere, works out of the region, but it's actually a position that sits in the director's office. So it truly is an honor for me to be here today and to represent the department, given the history. This tree was planted, as has been stated, it was planted 35 years ago. For a point of reference, I was 10 years old at that time. So as George said, there's a lot of different faces that are here today from who was here at that time. Its primary purpose, so it was to honor the Centennial Accord, right, that the state of Washington had adopted. And the purpose of that accord was to strengthen the relationships between the federally recognized tribes and between the state of Washington and our governing bodies. This marks the 35th year of the Centennial Accord, but also earlier this year we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Boldt decision, which was a landmark decision that solidified the treaty rights of tribes in the state of Washington. And it's my belief that these past outcomes, like the Boldt decision and the Centennial Accord, they laid the foundation for the partnerships and relationships that we benefit from today with our partnership with the tribes, and that also our resources benefit from. So the department, we have a mandate to protect, preserve, perpetuate all fish and wildlife in this state while maintaining commercial viability and maximizing recreational opportunities. We fully acknowledge that there is absolutely no way we can accomplish that mission without strong partnerships. Almost everything we do requires us to partner with everyone that has a vested interest in that resource and that issue. And our partnership with the Confederated Tribes of the Colville Reservation is just one shining example of where that partnership has led to successes that we wouldn't otherwise realize if we tried to do this on our own. Now, that being said, is everything perfect? No. Do we always agree? No. But that's when the value of those relationships is most important. You don't really need a strong relationship or a partnership when it's really easy to reach a point of agreement, right? It's when those disagreements come up that those relationships and partnerships become of the utmost importance. So I want to share a little bit of experience. So because we have such a good working relationship with the Colville tribes, we actually have an annual meeting that we attend. And we bring all the natural resource professionals from the tribes, as well as our staff. And we sit down and we talk about issues or projects that each of us are working on. And we aim to seek for opportunities where we can strengthen our collaboration so we can have better outcomes and better successes. And every year at that annual meeting, Joe Pione, who is the director of the Colville Tribe's wildlife program, he has spent his entire career working with the natural resources for the tribes. And he speaks to where they were 30 plus years ago when they first started creating their natural resource programs and where they are today. And the simple story is that, and Joe is very passionate about this, and every time he tells the story, and it reflects that 35 years that Wendell talked about since that tree, and I think our relationship has grown so much. In simple, the relationship was not good. We did not collaborate. There was a lot of conflict. And I can sit here in front of you today and tell you that I'm benefiting from that. Our staff today are benefiting from that. From people like Joe Pione, right, and the folks that worked to get this Centennial Accord established. That was a lot of hard work to try to bring folks together. And it's because of people like that that we find ourselves in the position we are today. I had a conversation, Casey, I don't see her, earlier in the museum, and we were kind of reflecting on that, and the whole decision came up. I cannot imagine doing the job that I have to do today with the relationships the way they were in the past. I just don't see how I don't see how we accomplish what we do today if it was still that way. So again, I'm here on behalf of the department, and I want to offer my steadfast commitment to continue to strengthen the existing relationships that we have with our tribal partners. I've mentioned because of that, we've seen a lot of successes, but there's still a lot of work to do. Whether it's addressing water concerns in Icicle Creek, we still have a number of salmon populations that are struggling. We have other populations that have not been objected. Sharptail and sage grouse continue to just have a very high number of demands on their habitat, pressures for solar development, wind development, just development in general. We have another number of examples where we've partnered with the Colville tribes on acquisitions, right, to protect habitat. They're a key partner in bringing sharptail grouse from British Columbia to try to bolster those populations. So with that, I want to say thank you, and I look forward to our future relationship.
That was a good talk. We don't bring out all our arguments because, we're working to settle that. Joe Pione is a good friend of mine. I've known him ever since we started with the tribe, so I know he's doing a good job because that was his way to do it. I think what we want to do now, I was going to have a member of the tribal council here, 14 tribal councilmen, and then Chairman Jared Erickson said he was going to be here or send a representative, and he's not here. Whoever the representative is going to be isn't here. So you'll have to accept me as representative, even though I haven't been on the council since 1990. But I follow the council very close. I'm always asking them to do something, so they know me. They haven't, they're all second generation to me, but I do give my input. And so we have, who was it? Where is Nikki? Oh, there. We were going to have somebody else?
Just if there's anyone else that would
Anybody.
like to share their sentiments on the treaty piece.
You're all invited to say something. Okay.
My name is Chief White Feather Skipper. I'm the 43rd War Chief of the Cheyenne Nation, Tuscaloosa, non-Cheyenne Dolphin, First Military. My mother's White Mountain Apache, Hopi, Lavender Clan, and my father was the 42nd War Chief of the Cheyenne Nation, Tuscaloosa, Tobacco Clan. And so my woman is the great-granddaughter of Chief Joseph of the Nez Perce 12th Confederated Tribes of Colville. And so with the Cheyenne, we have established the Great Law of Peace. And so the Great Law of Peace, before the Tree of Peace it was the Peace Pipe Treaty. And that's where us men, if we had any arguments, we'd either play games or we would smoke pipe together and we'd talk about it in council. And so whenever we have a council meeting, traditionally we would smoke pipe or gift a pipe. And so as the elder here to this day, before we start the tree peace meeting, I'd like to honor you this in our Cheyenne language. It's called a heyoka. So this is an unfinished heyoka or Indian pipe. As Cheyenne government, we is still, first man of the earth, we have still not given a child to this earth. And so as good men, we accept children that are not of ours whenever we have a woman. And so whenever I just now came back, excuse me, at least I just come back from the East Coast and the Plains, from helping rewrite many treaties and tribal constitutions. And I helped write the Indigenous Human Rights in 2006 with the International Youth Council. The International Youth Council that I wrote with is the Pocahontas blood that are in Europe still to this day. And so we had reestablished the connection between Europe and what we call Turtle Island or North America. And so a little bit of history lesson. Before we bred with the North Europeans, we had bred with the Mongolian people. And so everybody calls this the United States. We, as Native people, we like to call it Turtle Island. It's more inclusive, it includes people. But as in the United States, it's not still not the United States yet, because there's only 48 powers of law, but yet there's 50 states. Because Alaska and Hawaii don't have ratified blood treaties with the Cheyenne dogman of the original men of the earth. And so we Cheyenne, and just like many other wise elders like these ones up here, same as the red lightning bolt and the blue lightning bolt, don't argue over the spirits. It's the mediums in between them too. And so as the treaty of peace with the peace pipe, and we have the peace treaty with the tree, and everybody here, we're all hue man and hue woman, all just a different shade of red. And so, them limbs, you'll have a beautiful day. And excuse me, there's a bowl up here of tobacco, and so tobacco, we use it to say a prayer. So just grab a pinch, big pinch, small pinch, whenever you want to. Just grab a pinch of tobacco, so when you go to the tree, and place the tobacco by the tree.
When I do the smoke, Arnold Cleveland, another tribal member, is going to do a flute song, which will give you the background on that. Did you want to say anything, Arnold? No? Flute. Anybody else? Don't be bashful. I know one guy that's got a lot of words that he hasn't used. Raleigh? You want to say anything, Raleigh?
I'm just proud to be here. Proud to meet you for the first time. I served 42 years in Fish and Wildlife. I went through the Baltic season. Where we are today is
I can't hear you. See?
Oh. I can never start over again, but Wendell and all of you, this is a very special day and occasion, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
The shortest speech you ever made. Anybody else? Surely there's somebody who wanted to say something.
I just want to mention that Wendell has written a whole series of books about the history of the Wenatchee Indians. And those are all available in the gift shop at the museum.
Thank you. 6 books. Starting out with Coyote Finishes the People. You know who Coyote is? There he is, right there. Some people think it's a wolf, but it's really a coyote. He might have been a wolf when he was young, but he grew into a coyote. Anybody else?
Here. Right here.
Well, there.
Thank you, Wendell. My name is Matt Cade. I'm with the Greater Leavenworth Museum, Upper Valley Historical Society in Leavenworth. And we do invite you all up to see our exhibit up there. We're real proud of it, the collaboration that went into that, and the presentation that's there. And it was a great achievement on all parts. Talk about partnerships. That language or the information that's in the exhibit is not from the Historical Society. It came from the Scosa tribal members, and the Wenatchee Advisory Group had a great contribution to that. And so we are very thankful for that. We're very proud of the exhibit that's there. It's been well received by visitors to the museum. We had 13,000 visitors last year, and we hope to have 15,000 this year as our projected number. So just sharing the language or sharing the information. Also, the Pascosa Plaza that's going in at Memorial Park I'm very excited about that and what's going to happen there. It's inspiring us. Actually, in Leavenworth, there is a waterfront park. We'd like to take the hint from Wenatchee and the Wenatchee Valley Museum down here and what's being constructed to do a very similar project, smaller scale, because we're a smaller city, but we want to share that information, and we do appreciate it. I always enjoy listening to Wendell whenever he speaks, and I just should keep track of him more closely where he travels. And thank you very much, Wendell.
I'm still waiting for some other people to say something. Well, we have, I don't know if this is going to work, but Rose, can you try to light this? Right here. We gotta hold it like this and light it. I just wanted, it's gonna take some time for that to get hot enough to burn. Don't burn yourself, Mose. Since I don't have any other volunteers, I forgot, I shortened up my talk because my other grandson, Andy, who's not here today, had to work. But he always tells me, he says, "You're going to speak?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, they should tell you you have a limit. Otherwise, you'll never stop speaking." Great. He's got it going. I just don't want to take a minute to what I forgot. My dad got out of the Navy in World War II, and he decided to go to East Wenatchee because he wanted to come back to his ancestors. So we moved from the reservation there, and I finished high school in Wenatchee. And I got a lot of lifelong friends from Wenatchee. It was great, except I was the only Indian in that high school. And Frank Baker was the only Indian in Cashmere High School. And I just got from Raleigh a story about the Baker family that was here. I played basketball, football, and baseball against Frank Baker. We were two tribal members that were actually in opposition because Wenatchee and Cashmere. But it was fun. It was fun. And I take those memories with me because I'm still part of Wenatchee. I really am. Which extends to Cashmere, even though I played sports against Cashmere a lot. I still think that Cashmere is part of our what we call nowadays, and this is something you ought to take with you, we call it a virtual reservation. The reason it's called virtual is we can't get the legal, I was telling you earlier, we couldn't get the 6 by 6 square mile reservation, so it's a virtual one now. We do things like this with all new people. And we're doing things the same way we'd do on the reservation if it wasn't a reservation. Like this new 11-acre, we might put a longhouse there. And the longhouse is a place we have any kind of meetings, as formal meetings, social meetings, whatever. Right now we have no place that we can meet as a group. And that would be great. It would really establish us as part of this community. And that's the type of thing that I hope happens in the future. Okay, I'll give this back to you, and I'll go over there and wait for people. Invite them all to come over. Anyone want to come up?